All right, now you're with me. Fingers back up. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Man, look at your thing. Let it know you care. To my thing. I will rise above. Doing what I love. I will make that dough. I like that. Let's do it again. I will make that dough. Doing what I know. And those who laugh. And those who laugh. To kiss my assets. Okay? You guys have been great. Thank you very much. God bless you. Take it out. You guys are great. Thank you very much.
I first met Victor at a conference he was giving here in South Florida, where I live. After the conference, we learned we had several things in common. For one, we were both from large Puerto Rican families, and secondly, neither of our families had very much money when we were growing up. We spoke about the possibility of one day working together, and kept in touch thereafter. A couple of months ago, I got a call from Victor. He told me that he was going to be the keynote speaker at the National Conference for the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. He asked if I would take my camera and accompany him from his home in Georgia up to Philadelphia, where the conference was to take place, and document his experience, sort of like a weekend in the life of a motivational speaker. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, the self-improvement market is a billion-dollar industry. That's billion with a B. And I was always curious about the motivation of a motivational speaker. Did they really care whether you succeeded or failed, or were they in it just for the money? So the Friday before he was to speak at the conference, I flew up to Georgia and met Victor at Atlanta's International Airport, where he was also flying in from a speaking engagement in another city. From there, we drove to his home in Alpharetta, and that's where our story begins.
When he comes home, he likes to spend time alone and you know, work in his office. But he does have a lot of energy, and you know, after a week home with him, I'm ready to send him off again. He's a little Victor goes a long way, because you know, he's got so much energy. You know.
Anyway, when I come home, this is what I like to come home to. It's a real quiet neighborhood, a far cry from what I'm used to. So. And if you'd asked me many years ago would I ever had something like that, I wouldn't have believed it.
I guess it's good when he's home for a lot of time, but then he gets kind of annoying, and then he goes away and comes back.
I would say since the kids were born, he's been traveling more than 50% of the time ever since then, so I'm used to that.
There's not noise. It feels like there's a huge part missing, because my mom's really low-key, my sister's really low-key, and I'm pretty low-key, but my dad's just sets off the balance from everyone else in the house. So it's a lot different having him in the house than when he's not here.
When I'm done and I'm on the road, one of the things I don't want to do is really see anybody. That may sound surprising, but I don't really want to see anybody. I don't know, I think because you're plugged in so much, you're always talking to people, you're always hanging out with people, that when you get home, it's just you're done.
He does like to be home, you know, that's true. But he still is talking a lot. He's on the phone, or he's, like I said, bothering us.
When we first moved to Georgia, I'm one of these guys that actually like to cut my own lawn, I like to trim my own hedges. That's kind of one of those mental things you do. It's kind of relaxing. So one day, car pulls up, beautiful BMW, and the man rolls down his window. Now, keep in mind that I have my baseball cap on, a t-shirt, some shorts, and some sandals. And the guy rolls up right there as I'm trimming the hedges, and he pulls down his window and says, "Hi." So what do I say? "Hi." Anyway, he says, "Do you know who lives here?" Now, you know who he thought I was, right? He thought I was the gardener. So anyway, I remember reaching him inside, going, "Hi, my name is Victor Gonzalez. I'm one of your new neighbors." And I could see his face go, "Wow, there goes the neighborhood."
I've never seen him live speaking, no. Because public speaking to me would be terrifying. So I think that if I'm in the audience, you know, I'd be nervous for him, you know. So I don't even want to, you know, do that. You know what I mean?
I don't think you hear him talk so much at home that
yeah, really, I want to pay him to be quiet.
My family's from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Chicago, as you know. And I always get the question, "Victor, do you have a green card? Do you need one to be here?"
What you see out there is how he is at home, basically.
What do you think I say to that? No. But I do tell him I have one. It's called American Express.
He acts a lot more different around the house. He's not as calm as a regular dad. Most dads will be, you know, just mellowed out more. He goes around the house singing, dancing. You know, you could see the motivational speaker in him, because a motivational speaker would not act as calm as most dads. You know, when I go to my friend's house, it's just not the same. He's not a normal dad, that's for sure.
There's a reason I'm going through all these cards, because I want you to understand something. These are all the ideas that I think are good. My horse's voice, because again, I've been speaking for 2 weeks on the road. What do you expect? Anyway, so these are all the different things I write down. And so as I go through all this, you're probably saying, "Man, that's a lot of stuff. Are you going to speak about all this?" No. The sad thing is that all this is now, I take the best stuff of here, put this to the side, and then I whittle it down to 5 cards. Well, now in this case, I'm down to 6 cards, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, knowing how I speak, because I talk a lot, now that I got 6 cards, I take the best from there. Phase 2 of the process, I now whittle it down to 1 card. This is a 45-minute keynote. You know, part of my success when it comes to speaking, as far as memorizing speeches so it comes across naturally, you often see a lot of speakers use notes. You know, if you use notes, you suck. As a speaker, you can't control how the crowd's going to react, but you can control how you perform. And a speaker is a solo job. It's one of those things where it's you. And there was a guy, his name is Larry Winger, he said something important. He said, if you're nervous about speaking, you don't know your content. Because if you have to think about it, you don't know it. In my mind, during the night, I'll just think about the speech over and over again. And I'll be able to run on pure adrenaline from here to tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. After I finish the speech tomorrow, you will see me unplug the battery so hard that I will crash right after that. That's how I usually work, but that's how I do it, folks. I try to shoot for the 80-20 rule. 80% of my content has to be fresh. Something new, something exciting. And just go from there. But 20% I always keep in because you need it. It's related material. Like if it's a college market, you know, they always want to hear about my college experience. You know, you got to throw that in there because, like any good speaker, what do you want to do? Relate to your audience. And when you're speaking to a bunch of college students, if they see you come across as a corporate guy or a business guy, they're not going to listen to you. They're just going to shut down on you, and that's it. No more conversation. So what I try to do within the first couple of minutes is just kind of, I don't know, relate to them.
So I pulled down the bingo card and I'm looking through this, looking at the different majors. And the first major I look at, it said civil engineering. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to be nice to people, so I said no. So second, it said, the second one was mechanical engineer. And I said, man, I don't want to fix cars either. And then the third one I saw was aerospace engineers. And I said, who wants to go to outer space? Not me. Then I saw electrical engineering, and guess, and the light bulb went off, right?
When I first started doing the high school and the college market, what I started doing was a standard speech, you know, start. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. Your basic construction of a speech. And I wasn't having any fun, and I guess my audience wasn't having any fun because nobody was booking me again. And that's usually an indication. If you're not getting rebooked, you know, at least one time again, that's a problem. So if I'm not going to make any money, I might as well just have some fun doing this. And I started messing around and having fun with my audience, but still delivering some content. And it was a hit. And at that point, I got the first inkling that maybe I'd finally found my style.
Now I need a volunteer. You right there. Bow tie man. Now, Manny, I'm going to tell him a story. And the only way this story is going to work is that if you help me.
Okay.
Are you willing to help me, Manny?
Sure.
All right. Good role model. Good example. Now, before I tell him the story, I need you to do me a favor. You ever see the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes.
You did see the Beverly Hillbillies. Yes. How many folks by show, clap your hands, saw the Beverly Hillbillies? Excellent. Manny, do you remember that big old nasty hound dog they had? You do?
Yes.
Zig will tell a hound dog story, and that's about, you know, a man's walking down a lonely road. In the distance, he sees this farmhouse, and he decides to go in the farmhouse and ask for a drink of water.
As the stranger approaches the porch, he notices that right next to that old man rocking back and forth is a big old nasty hound dog laying right next to him, making this sound.
Stranger asks the old man for a drink of water. Old man goes inside, gets a drink of water, comes back outside.
Now, he's drinking water and they're having polite conversation, but in the background, all you hear is what?
Finally, the stranger asks the old man, says, "Excuse me, sir, what's wrong with your dog?"
The old man looks at the dog, looks back at the stranger, and with a straight face he says, "Son, my dog is laying on a tack." He doesn't know what to say. So they continue on with the polite conversation. But the pain is getting more excruciating, apparently. It's getting more excruciating, apparently. So finally he says, "Excuse me, sir, but if your dog is laying on a tack and it hurts him that much, why doesn't he what? Get up."
Old man responds, he says, "Son, you just don't understand. The tack hurts the dog, but not enough to make him want to get up and do something about it, right?"
You ever talk to people who all they do is what? Whine. Instead of doing something, what do? Whine. Instead of getting up and doing something, they what? The next time somebody whines, this is what I want you to hear. Has everybody got that? Give Manny a hand. You'll be great, Manny. All right. All right. This is it.
Go to the airport. It's about 6:30 in the morning. It's early, man, but here we go. Even though the event's later on tonight, why do I get up this early? Because flight delays, cancellations, I get paranoid about people. So we're gonna do it early, man. This morning got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, reviewed the DVD, the actual clip from last year, which is actually pretty good to go through that, you know, and actually see the video from last year, what I did, what worked and what didn't work. So as I was laying out the outline today, it finally started coming together. So if last night I was at 60%, you know, as far as confidence level, it's up to about maybe 80-85%. So by the time I hit the night, by the time I hit the stage, it should be well defined. So when I get on the plane, I think what I'll just do is kind of mull it over in my head. But man, I'm tired as hell. I'm getting tired. I'm the youngest of 6. I moved away. Everybody's still back there in Chicago, and so I'm the one that moved out. And like I said, you know, as far as speaking, you know, nobody in my family's ever heard me speak. My mother's never seen me speak. She's seen me on video, but she's never seen me speak live. None of my sisters or my brothers, none of them really comprehend what I do, I think, sometimes, because it's so foreign to them. You know, again, it's the typical 9-to-5 job, and what I do is not 9 to 5. I mean, it's just so far from it. In the 4th year of high school, I can honestly say, is when I finally came out of my shell, and you know, and I really just enjoyed talking to people. I wasn't as I don't know, reserved or introverted anymore. I just started talking to people, started blabbing a lot, which probably set the stage for a speaking career. I think I enjoyed my last year of high school the best. Graduated 3rd in my class. Check it out, 3rd in my class. I was feeling pretty good about that till I got to college. Then I realized what a high school education in the Chicago public school system was really worth. Not much. I got to college, man. Holy shit.
One day I go to my first class, and it was filled to the brim. You ever see those classes that have 300 to 500 people in the room? I've never seen anything like it. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the instructor take the podium. The instructor comes, he takes the podium, and he begins writing stuff on the board. And I'm looking at this like a deer caught in a headlight, because I have no idea what he's writing. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you don't know what's going on? And you start looking around to see who else doesn't know what's going on, right? Because you're like, am I the only one, right?
I had to drop all my classes in the first semester because I couldn't keep up. I mean, I was failing almost everything, you know, because, you know, I was competing with kids that came out of the suburbs, man. They came out of Catholic school, private schools, and I couldn't keep up. It's almost like you come from the neighborhood, you're like, yo, what up? And they're like, how you doing? Wham, right there, bam, we just encounter a difference in culture. And if it wasn't for a guy named Octavio Mateo, this guy represented an organization called SHIP, which is exactly the same group I'm going to speak to tonight. It's called the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And Octavio was the director of the organization on campus. Octavio happened to be Puerto Rican. And in the freshman class, when I joined, I was the only Puerto Rican, so he's like, we can't lose him, you know? I mean, we were strapped for cash, man. Around that time, you know, my father decided to leave my mother. And so you can imagine, you know, after so many years, we know what that did to the family. So when my father left my mother for another woman at that age, you know, we didn't have a real source of income. My sisters were actually, you know, helping my mother with the bill because my mother, you know, was now on disability because of a bad back. And so, you know, we needed money, man. We needed money, and we needed it bad. And so it was hard to go to school knowing that the family needed money, and here I am getting C's in college.
And I told my mother, that's it. We're quitting. I'm done. And Octavio, a SHIP counselor, actually came into our neighborhood. Que atrevido. He actually came into our neighborhood. He had guts. He actually came into our neighborhood, went to my house, knocked on the door, and told my mother, your son, in so many words, had to what? Finish the race. And sure enough, my mother said, I don't know how we're going to do it. God will provide the what? Way. And I will light about 100 candles a day just to make this happen. If you know Puerto Rican families, you know what I'm talking about. And so I am here because one guy from SHIP named Octavio Mateo actually what? Went back, picked somebody up, and helped him along.
If I had to say what is that one shocking thing about this business is that if I look at 9 out of 10 motivational speakers, 9 out of 10 of them are broke, not making any money, and lying about everything they're talking about. They're just juicing the people up, doing the hoe, as we call it, you know, you fake it till you make it, because they're faking it all the way, folks. They don't have a lot of money, and they're not doing a lot. And I'm always blown away by the fact that they want to give you advice on how successful you should be. So the next time a motivational speaker wants to speak to your organization, you know what you should do? Ask them, tell me about your financial situation. Are you living right? Tell me how well you're living. Now, you may think that's a little personal, but you know what? The guy's going to stand in front of you, try to motivate you, tell what you should be doing. Damn it, should he be doing it as well? People hustle in corporate America. People hustle in and around corporate America. These guys that are out there speaking today, a lot of them are just hustling. That's all they're doing. And I think it's sad when you take people's money when they don't have that much left, under the pretense that you're going to help them when you yourself can't help yourself. I think that is bullshit in a big way. If you want to learn the business, if you want to be a motivational speaker, if you want to be a professional speaker, whatever you want to call it, here's what you got to do. Here are the basic steps. Have a good story. Don't lie to people. Have content. And if you want to really duplicate what successful people are doing, start mimicking them. I always say, Zig Ziglar, my man, biggest virtual mentor I have. What I mean by a virtual mentor, I never paid the guy, never met the guy, but everything he does, I read, I go to his websites, I mimic, I copy, I try to emulate that. Do I steal his information? No. Take what they do, make it better.
I'm guessing when it rains it pours, like metaphors pour out of my mouth and out of my pores. Why do the poor praise the Lord? Why the rich get richer and take credit for everything that they've acquired to work for? I'm guessing for my tangible objects to pour faith into, whether white, black, Italian, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, or Hindu. As a people, there's already so much we've been through. I'm guessing some people think they're better than the next crew. I'm guilty cause I've done it too, thinking I can challenge you cause I'm fresher than you.
You know what I just realized? Remember I said I was going to leave my computer bag at home? You know what I left in my computer bag? All my notes. Remember I told you I was forgetting something? Holy shit. I left all my notes at home. Oh, this is going to be interesting tonight. This is what happens when you forget your notes at home. This is exactly what happens when you forget your notes at home. Use a barf bag to write your speech out. And if the speech doesn't go well, then you use like this. Yeah, alright, good. And I can see it from the front, when I look at my crowd, if I'm losing them, this is the obvious sign. It's the obvious one, right? The other one is that they start, looking around. Or they just start, not really reacting to anything you're saying. At that point, you got to either get them to do something or tell them an engaging story where, something that really captivates, that relates to them. So what I typically do is, I do about maybe 5 minutes of content, and then I always insert humor. And it took me, listen to this, 5.5 years to graduate. Give it up. Thank you. Wait a minute. I tell this to everybody. I graduated with a 2.63 grade point average. Give it up. Wait a minute. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to see. See, I can tell the positive people from the negative people. Positive people said, man, he graduated. Negative people were like, oh. I'm not clapping for that. That's because you're negative. See, you think it's a C+. I'm a positive brother. It's a B-. See the difference in that? Yeah. That's the barf bag. That right there. I know you can barely read it, but it's an outline of my speech tonight. Now, if you hired me to speak and you were seeing this right now, you should be worried. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
I know him. He's famous.
Oh my God.
This is the type of treatment you get out in Delta. Thank you. See ya. American Limo. Hey guys, which service is better?
They're all Togo limousines.
They're all great.
Togo limousines.
All right. You had to put your mother in the car.
They're all great. Oh, my mother. Yeah. Togo limousines, home. Right, my friend.
Yeah, but I need to go downtown. We're not up there.
No, but that's not the best company. That's the best company right here. The best company won't be up there.
How much does it cost to go to Marriott downtown?
It's supposed to be $23.
Okay. Are you guys here already?
Yeah, me? I got 5 guys out there right now.
So can I have one of them when I get my bag?
When you get your bag. Get your bag. Get your bag.
What's your name?
Angel, like an angel.
Angel. All right, man.
My car is in the business.
All right, Angel. Save me.
I try.
All right, man. I believe you.
Exactly what time it is. Hold on. James Kathleen, Richie got that. Hey. 1224 is Tom.
Hispanic.
And 240 is the other guy.
He looks boricua to me.
I'm good.
A lo mejor cubano.
Okay. Jim's going to do the 1220.
Dominicano.
What's the driver's name that's bringing Tom?
I'm going to go with Dominican.
For one of the biggest limo companies, the real biggest limo company in Atlantic City.
All right.
There's only two of us.
All right. Well, you're gonna drive the biggest Puerto Rican motivational speaker you ever drove. Okay.
Well, guess what I need?
What?
I need a movie.
There you go.
A mini commercial. Talk to me about money. Okay, gentlemen, get ready for a Boricua experience.
All right, man. Oh, are we getting you? You're driving us.
You getting my car? This is my personal car.
Shit.
Well, my name is Andrew Gilby. I've been in the limo business for 23 years. I've been a personal driver for a billionaire for 3 years, for the guy that owns First Trust Bank for 2 years. I've been with the same family for 8 years. Now I not only represent, but I am the sales manager for Togro Limousines for 2 years.
Who's been a motivating force in your life, man? If you have looked back and you say, man, you know, this person really motivated, and then tell me what they did.
Everybody has some kind of motivation. Everybody has some kind of self-esteem. The level of that is what makes you different. How much you use of that. And for me, nothing motivates me more in this world than my mother and my father. Because being the first generation with a little degree, being the first generation to make over $100,000, being the first generation of a business owner, being the first generation successful businessman, I give all that credit to my mother and my father, which both are still alive, but always remembering where they come from and always taking from where they come from to the limit. The biggest change a mother can do for a son is put him on the right track. At 15 years old, my mother understood that if I didn't get out of Harlem, I was on the wrong track. The streets will do that to you when you don't have a lot of family, a lot of educated family, a lot of family to take you and pull you out. My mother did the best she could. We have so many people that need to go back to the ghettos and help that one kid like me.
Come out of it. There it is.
That's where my heart goes. It's a shame that we don't have our own real, people coming out and letting the world know that we are struggling like everybody else, but we are being successful also.
We overcome it first.
Exactly.
We always do.
So, I'm proud to be a Puerto Rican today and every day of my life. It's not always about money. A lot of it is about time. To let these kids see that just because they are where they are doesn't mean they can't go where we are.
It's just another story in the jungle. That's all it is. This is what they call a New York Rican.
New York Rican.
This is what they
take some sacrifice to step inside my light,
reality of getting to the place actually hits you. And as we were coming up, did you see all those people? There were like just massive amount of students down there. So when you see the crowd and how big it's going to be, and now it's right in front of you, that's when that little part kicks in, that little nervousness. Why am I a little nervous? I don't know. Like I said, it's just a big crowd. I got to run the speech in my head, so I got to pull out my throw-up bag. Where's my throw-up bag? Damn it. Where the hell did I put that throw-up bag? All right, so here's what we're going to talk about tonight. The acronym for today is OMMOTZ. O, optimism. I'll tell a Martin Seligman story there. M, this is when I'll try to transition and talk a little bit about my mother, because everybody wants to hear how I got out of the hood, got my degree and all that good stuff. I joke a lot about my GPA and how bad it was, you know, that whole thing. You heard that earlier. The M right here, I never told this story before, but I'm going to tell this story about when I went to a March of Dimes event and actually donated my time to the Special Olympics and how hard that was. And also it's going to be an uplifting story about how, you'll have to hear the story. This O right here is a tribute to Octavio Mateo. That was the guy that was a ship director that I mentioned. And he's the guy that really helped me. And I really want to emphasize to students that there's people on campus that can help them if they run into trouble.
We lived off of food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk. We were poor, 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 poor. You know you're poor when you change the TV with a what? Pliers. You know you're poor when you use a what for an antenna? Hanger. Thank you for feeling my pain. All right? We were poor, folks. Today I live what is known as a very nice zero-debt life, which means I don't know anybody anything, and I live a nice life. Could I ever have imagined this life? Absolutely not. But when I look back at all the different people in my life who came in and out, who helped me, this is why I do what I do. Because I want you to be successful. I want you to go out and make your money. Because I want you to build your own companies, rise to the top, do whatever you got to do. And here's the second reason I want you to be successful. Because then I want you to help somebody else build their company and rise to the what? The top.
The T is going to be like a transformation mechanism. What's a transformation mechanism? It's when I'm going to take this one item, basically present something that's impossible, and then make it possible. More to come later. And the Z, always got to end on a cool story. So I'm going to tell a good zip lining story at the end there. So again, MATS. That's my acronym for today. And my job is to bridge each of these stories together. And at the end, what's not on here, I always end with the Logic of Success pledge. That goes something like this. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Rise above doing what you love, make that dough doing what you know, and those who laugh can kiss my assets. Get the idea? So we'll see how it goes tonight. So time to roll it. I'm going to bed.
I think the theme, you know, something that hit me, you know, when I was in the room thinking about it, I think the theme was going to be finishing the race. In other words, if you started something, you got to finish it, no matter the obstacles, no matter what comes at you. So you're going to hear me repeat that phrase 2 or 3 times. That's going to be, I decided to wrap it around that theme, finishing the race.
Here's one of the messages I want to send out. Is college going to be tough for you? Absolutely, folks, but can you guarantee me one thing? You got to finish the race. It's a competitive society out there. Today, a bachelor's degree is your basic starting point for getting into corporate America. You got to finish the race. I don't care what your GPA is. I want you to finish the race. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying, woohoo, whatever your GPA is, I don't care. And I'm not saying that. I want you to get the best GPA you can, but I want you to what? Finish the race.
Today, I'll speak for about 45 minutes. 2,500 kids will hear that speech. All 25 will pick their own moments in time in that speech. They'll say, that touched me. That resonated with me. From that point forward, I can't control anything else. But I'm hoping that when they go back to school and they're sitting in their dorm room, laboring over some exam that they have to take the next day, studying hard, they're crying because they can't figure this stuff out, much like I did, that they go, the guy said, finish the race at any cost. You got to finish the race. And they go, screw it, let's go do it and not quit. I think it's egotistical to think that I can change somebody's life. I think it's egotistical to think I can change somebody else's life. I can't. I can only provide a slight push. That's it. You think of any person's success from A to Z. Between A to Z, there are many moments of truths, moments that happened that kept pushing them forward. I am just one simple moment in a, I don't know, from A to Z, in a bunch of little moments along that path. You're part of the success process, and you're not the pivotal point. You are just throwing a stone in the water. When I wanted to get out of the neighborhood, it was all about, you know, getting out of the hood, man. Just, you know, no more food stamps, government cheese, powdered milk, that whole bit. You just wanted to get out, you know. So when I graduated, I moved to Minnesota, went to work for Honeywell. It's no secret, great company. And, you know, it was one of those things that, you know, I thought I'd hit the American dream right there. You know, go to school, get the education, get the degree, and get the J-O-B. And so I was happy, like anything else. You're happy for the first year. You're like, making some money. You're not poor anymore.
The option was, if I didn't go to college, I had to work in a what? A factory. That option was out. So I said, you know what? I'm going to college. And what do you think was the primary motivating factor for me to go to college? Yell it out. Who said money? Who said money? You think that I would go to college just to get a job for money? You think I'm that shallow? You would be correct.
And so what happened is, the first year goes by, money makes you happy. Second year goes by, the money isn't sustaining that happiness. By the third year, I'm not liking my job. What happened in those 3 years? Corporations happen. You know what's wrong with corporations? Here it is in a nutshell. They're run by people. And that's always going to be the problem. Corporations are run by people. And because they're run by people and people are imperfect, you always have an imperfect company. And when emotions get involved, politics get involved, favoritism, I don't care, nepotism, any type of ism you want to throw at it, something eventually happens where you go, I don't want to do this anymore. One day, quit, got another job. And that's actually how I started getting into sales. I started doing more what I call removed from engineering, more what I call application work. And then one day in this new company, they need a manager to travel Latin America to do sales and training. That's where I met my mentor, Jose Santana.
And this is 1992 when I first got into sales. And that guy right there, Jose Santana, he's from Cuba. This guy was the ultimate salesman in my book. We all come across people in our lives who are just fantastic salespeople. This guy was awesome. I followed him around for almost a year in Latin America. First of all, he had a voice like Ricardo Montalban. He would talk like quye, Victor. I mean, he had this beautiful, sultry voice. When customers would see this guy, they would want to hug him. And whatever he was selling, guess what? They were buying. And so I followed him around for about, like I said, for about a year, maybe a little more. And I think everything I learned in sales, as far as relationships, how to deal with people, how to treat people, I learned from that guy right there, Jose Santana.
The great thing about being in sales is that there's no hiding. You have a number. You have to hit that number. There's no excuses. Nobody wants to hear them. You had a quota. Did you hit your quota? Bam. A very objective, empirical metric. In corporations within the organization, the responsibility is so diluted amongst different responsibilities that if a project doesn't get done, well, marketing didn't give us this on time. If that would have happened, we would have had that on time. Well, maybe if we coordinated better and really had planned to strategically do all that. I think the first sale you have to make is to sell yourself on the actual product. And if you can't sell yourself, who the hell else is going to believe you? I think what happened was this quiet discontent started to build. And it was one of those things where, I think it was around 37, I'm going to say, could be 38, 37, 38, I started getting that quiet discontent. What do I mean by that? It's one of those, I was about to hit 40, and all the things I thought about doing, said I wanted to do, I hadn't done any of them.
My wife says, I've gone ahead and set up a zip lining tour. Now, who knows by a show of hands, clap, what zip lining is? Wow! If you don't know what zip lining is, here's a visual. Tree, wire. Zzz. You get the idea? All right. Now, I've been married 20 years. Thank you. 4 different women, add up the years. Who cares? Doesn't matter.
And so we had a little money in the bank. And it was time to roll the dice. You know, if not now, when? So one day, it was May 9th, 2001, 3:48 p.m. when I made the phone call. How do I know the time? Because I called him on my cell phone. Called the chairman of the company, says, I'm done. And at that time, this is in the book, you know, my base salary was 250,000. Had 110,000 shares of stock. The guy's like, "You're gonna what?" The next day, I get up, got the shorts on in Miami, got the t-shirt on, baseball cap, got the sandals on, and so I'm walking to McDonald's. I don't have my cell phone with me, which was the weirdest feeling because who was going to call me? And then something happened, what I call a small Zen moment. I saw a can, and I started kicking the can. And it was that moment I realized, when was the last time I just walked down the street with no cares in the world and kicked a freaking can? And I can't remember that. If you think back, maybe when I was a kid. At that very moment, I realized I had no worries. Even if it was only for that moment, I was kicking a can down the street and I was perfectly freaking happy. I know that will make no sense to whoever hears this, but I really don't give a shit. I'm telling you, it was the greatest moment. I said I was kicking a can. It was kind of casual. And, you know, it hits you like, wow, I broke free. And then a new feeling kicks in. Pure horror. Because now the reality hits you. Like, you know how you get this euphoria? I quit, you bastard. See ya, type of thing. And then, man, what happens is like, oh shit, what did I do?
So my wife, after 20 years of marriage, you would think that she knows me well enough. And my wife knows that I'm afraid of heights. Yeah, you see the problem, right? Because she made it sound like it was going to be two small trees, like a little oak tree. She goes, zip, this is not a big deal, right? But we got to Belize, and guess what? These are over 100-foot trees. And I'm looking up, and I'm seeing these people, like, in the canopy, right up there, all the way, and I'm looking at this going, no way am I going up there. And then my little girl, the great one, looks up at me with those beautiful big eyes, and says that one word that would melt any father's heart. What is that? No! She goes, sissy, right? You don't know my girl. I raised her hard, right? So my girl says, sissy. Now, when your girl calls you a sissy, it's time to man up.
If you don't know the organization, basically you get like 10 speeches, and each speech is supposed to help you improve on different aspects of speaking. The first speech I gave was, man, it was horrible. It was pretty pathetic. I'm glad I don't have that tape. I don't think I could see it again. And so I looked at my first tape. I said, man, I suck. The second speech got better, third, fourth, fifth, so forth. I completed all 10. It took me about a year, maybe a little bit over a year, to complete all 10 speeches, because you don't do them right after the other. The second year, there was a competition. And what it was is that everybody in Toastmasters in that little organization could compete to go to what they call the area level, the next level, and compete with other Toastmasters organizations. So we held the competition within our little group. And that year, the second year, I had to compete against Hale. And Hale Mesereau was one of the most eloquent speakers I'd ever heard. The guy was, he was like a gentleman when he spoke. I mean, it was just like, it was regal. I mean, the man was just regal when he spoke. And I used to look at this guy like, holy shit, look at this guy speak that way. Now, he wasn't like rah-rah. The man was regal. He didn't need to get emotional. He just talked, and you just listened, and you enjoyed it. I didn't win. I was devastated. I was like, but again, when you lose to a guy like that, you're not feeling too bad. Fast forward, make a story short, third year, you know what happened. Kid Vic got it. I actually beat Hale. And the guy was gracious enough to come over and says, man, it was excellent, Victor. Congratulations. And so, as I went back to my working career, I got the bug. You know how you get the bug, but you let it sit there? And I guess the bug was getting bigger. The last company I was with, before I really got the bug, they gave us tickets. The organization was called Peak Performance, and they gave us these tickets. The company bought tickets, and every month Peak Performance brought in some of the top speakers. That's when I saw Zig Ziglar for the first time. I was like, holy shit.
So I put on the gear, put all kinds of harness on you, right? You get all ready for it. And then what happens, we had to climb up the side of the hill to get to the first platform. And there we are. What you do, listen carefully, pay attention. What you do is you got to put the pulley system on the wire, and you got to hold it with your left hand, right? Now, the wire's going that way. They give you a special glove with a piece of rawhide, like leather, right there. They say that's your braking system.
Fast forward, if I say from 95, I mean, think about it. I walked away in 2001, so it's like something that built over, what, almost 6 years? By the time it built up, and I said, what am I going to do? I said, man, it's too late to open up a nightclub. Definitely don't want to be in a band anymore. Let's go do it.
As you're zipping, you're holding down like this, and you let your hand right on top of the wire. And the guy says, now listen carefully. When you get halfway, you're going to start picking up speed. But you're also going to start seeing the other tree. What you need to do is to slow down. And this is how you do it. He says, what you need to do is tap, 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 tap. You know, just gently tap the brake, right? He says, whatever you do, do not try to stop on the dime. He says, your arm will come out of its socket. Now, you know how people give you too much information?
If you're too uptight, you're not going to like my humor. You're not going to like my style of speaking because you're expecting a more, you know, basic speaking.
We're ready. It's our turn. There we are on the platform. Visualize it, okay? I let my wife and kids go first because that's what real men do, right? I let them go first. Wait. What does society say? Let's go by norms. Women and children what? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
People are getting smarter. And today, in a world of high-tech society, we have access to the internet. We can now download videos from other speakers, audio. We got all access to this information. The question is, how do you differentiate yourself as a speaker in this market? And if you don't have your own style, you're screwed.
It was my turn, and sure enough, I started zipping. Now, I don't know if I jumped off. I can't remember. I really can't. He may have pushed me off. It's not a big deal. I don't think we should talk about it. By the way, I do have pictures, but I will not show you the video because there's no point in seeing a grown man scream. It's just wrong, right? On so many levels, it's wrong, right?
Look, there's nothing new in the world of motivation as far as new material. The only thing new is how you deliver the content and make it more impactful on the individual, period.
I'm zipping, right? And you're like, zzz, right? And I start zipping, and I tell myself, don't look down. You ever notice when you tell your brain not to do something, it does the what? Exact opposite. So I look down and man, the floor is a blur, my feet are dangling, I'm like, this is not good. And then I see the other tree and I start what? Yeah. And sure enough, I get to the next platform and you know, I kept going, I kept making it. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think I was scared? Yes. Do you think I was scared? Yes. But would you also agree that it was probably what? Exhilarating, wasn't it? Because everything you ever try for the first time, is it going to be scary? Absolutely. But is it also going to be what? Exhilarating? Absolutely, folks.
It's about, oh geez, we got about another hour and a half before mic check. Yeah, now I'm starting to think about it a little bit. Going, I got to speak to a large group. Really? That starts setting in real quick about now. Am I nervous? Not really.
I met this kid named Carlito, 3rd grade, and you know, it was one of these kids that you know, if God had come down and said, "Here's the coolest 3rd grader you'll ever meet," that was Carlito, you know. I met him in 3rd grade, and it was funny, you know, we hit it right off the bat. You know, the teacher asked me, you know, who would show Carlito, you know, around the school. I was in 3rd grade, you know. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And Carlito always appreciated the fact that I raised my hand, you know. So I showed him the lunchroom, you know, and everything, and after lunch we went outside, and I thought he was going to need some partners to hang out with, right? He got outside, man, the kids just ran after him, man, the older kids, because his father, I found out later, ran the Little League team, right? So his father ran the Little League team. And so he was popular already, man. 3rd grade kid was like, I mean, you know. And so as the years went on, you know, it's like his coolness just grew. You know what I mean? I mean, you had to see him. It was like by 8th grade, all the girls wanted to be with him, all the guys wanted to be him, you know. And we went to high school together, and it was really cool, man, because we decided to share lockers in the first year, right? And it's like his coolness carried over. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy would put on clothes, and he just fit right. His hair was feathered perfectly. You know what I mean? The whole bit. And, you know, during that time, I always say that, you know, I met my first true love. right? In high school, her name was Angelina Santiago. And, you know, and everybody else goes, oh, that's so sweet. And I go, man, Carlito got her. You know? And so, which is true. And so by, you know, and then Carlito started getting into things, you know. By his second year, you know, man, he was selling weed out of our locker. And, you know, if you know my mother, you know the chancleta, it was time to separate. And so by third year, he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant, a different girlfriend pregnant, and he never made it to the fourth year, just dropped out somewhere between third and fourth year. And I didn't see much of him afterwards. But I remember after graduation, I remember one summer day, it was close to the time I just gotten up a job in my first job, you know, the Honeywell job in Minnesota. And I saw him. I went down by Lake Michigan with a couple of friends, and I ran into him, you know, and he seemed to be doing okay. You know, you can never judge, you know. And that was the last time I saw him. And so I moved up to Minnesota, and a few years later, I remember out of nowhere, I remember it was like a February morning or something, cold as hell in Minnesota. And my brother called me up, you know, he says, you know, Carlito's dead. And I remember walking outside. I mean, I still remember the day. I walked outside. It was cold. It was snowing out. You know, it had snowed outside. It was cold. I had a T-shirt on, and I just, you know, couldn't feel anything. And I remember that, you know, I wasn't sad. It was like I was mad, and I didn't understand why I was mad till, you know, sometime afterwards. And this is the reason I was mad. From third grade on, I'd always idolized Carlito. I always wanted to be Carlito. It's like I put him on this pedestal. I always compared myself to Carlito, and I always found myself wanting, you know what I mean? I was never good enough. And that was the day that I accepted the fact that I will never idolize another person again. Because when we do that, what do we do to ourselves? We undermine ourselves, don't we? You know, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too short, I'm too tall. And in the end, it doesn't matter who we are, you know, as far as our weight, height, the whole bit. And so I've learned that from that day on, I will never compare myself to somebody else. And I suggest to you guys, and I always tell this to the youngs, stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop trying to be somebody else that you're not. You are who you are. You're perfectly imperfect. Just accept that as being fact. And I think people relate to that because I think everybody in the audience has a Carlito in their life that go, yeah, I know somebody just like that.
Sheila, this is what I do. What I do is I come out, you know, and I don't want you to be surprised. That's why I come out. You introduce me. Give me a very okay introduction, not great. Okay? Mediocre. And then what I do is I reject the ovation. And then I say, and then I said, no, I'm going to go back off stage. Sheila's going to do it one more time. And this time when I come out, I come all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. I need a bigger round of applause. Okay. So you reintroduce me again. We have fun with them. Okay. Nervous is now down to 4%. Well, man. man. If you're a speaker, if you're a real speaker, you feed off of this stuff, man. It doesn't intimidate you, man. It's like a drug right to the vein. Adrenaline. I think the worst part is waiting about an hour and a half before we get started, so we'll see what happens. It's going to be wow. It's now T-minus about 10 minutes. The crowd is hostile. Scan over and look at them. Nobody's paying attention. Check this out. Now, when a crowd like this is not paying attention, this is not good for a motivational speaker. You're hungry. It's already 9:05. These are college students who are saying, look, we've eaten. I'm away from home. It's time to go party. You know I'm not the most popular guy. Why? Because I'm standing between them and a night out of town.
All right, guys, and now it is my pleasure to introduce your keynote speaker. Victor Gonzalez was born and raised in Chicago and escaped poverty, drugs, gangs, and violence of one of Chicago's worst neighborhoods to achieve a level of success few have expected. By the age of 35, he became the vice president in a $300 billion Fortune 500 company.
$3 billion, but that's okay.
And then president of global sales and marketing to help build a $420 million company. He's a dynamic speaker who shares his personal experiences to convey a message about overcoming adversity and aligning one's strengths and goals to become successful. It's very important. He has written several books, but is best known for his motivational manifesto, The Logic of Success, which reveals the logic behind why some people fail while others succeed. I know I want to know. Gonzalez is currently the CEO of a multi-million-dollar high-tech equipment manufacturing company.
That's okay.
Has a BS in electrical engineering and an MBA. Please, let's welcome Victor Gonzalez.
Great. All right. Great, thank you very much. Wait a minute, do that again. Do that again. The clapping. Stop, stop, stop! I've just traveled to 10 different cities in 2 weeks. I've had 3 hours of sleep. I come up on stage, and that's what I get. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back off stage, and we're going to do it all over again. And when I come out, I need you to stand up. Clap like you mean it. I want you to shake the roof. Can you do that for me? Let's do it right. Can we do it right? Let's try it again. Wait a minute. I'll bring Shayla back. Shayla, come on back. Do your thing again.
I'm coming back.
Give him fire. Breathe.
All right. All right, guys. Come on now.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you, sweetie. Oh. That's what I'm talking about. Come on. Louder. I can't hear it. All right. That's my group. Oh. I felt that. Man, that felt good. Did you guys feel better? All right, man, I'm glad to be here. Let me just make sure I know who's in the house. Freshmen, yell. Freshmen. Sophomores. Wow, juniors. Show me love, seniors. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of love. All right, let's hear who's also in the house. Let's go through the countries. South America in the house. Central America in the house. Mexico. All right, wait a minute. I got to throw this one out there. Spain. I still love you, man, okay? I still love you. Is the Caribbean in the house? I figured, all right. By the way, personal love, do we have any Boricuas in the house? All right, enough of that. I think everything comes down to the crowd, whether they'll react,
and the stage.
If you rise to the top of a corporation, you build your own corporation. You help other people build their own corporation. You help them make money. Eventually, you're going to have an event like this, and guess what you're going to need? A speaker. You see how this all works? And then, at that very moment, I will love you. Is that fair? Is that fair? All right, all right.
And I always remember the old adage, people remember the beginning and the end. Everything in between can fade away, but you got to have a good end.
What is your thing? It's your thing. It's something you enjoy doing so much that it doesn't even work. You enjoy doing it so much, you take great pride in your work. And when you do your thing, at the end of the day, you wind up with a what? MBA. And what does that stand for? Mega Bank Account. Right? So, we don't want to do a thing. We want to do our what? All right, now you're with me. Fingers back up. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Man, look at your thing. Let it know you care. To my thing. I will rise above doing what I love. I will make that dough. I like that part. Let's do it again. I will make that dough. Doing what I know. And those who laugh. And those who laugh can kiss my assets. Okay? You guys have been great. Thank you very much.
Did I rock that baby or what? They were happy, man. When the lady kisses you 3 times, who actually coordinates this and has that look on her face like she was satisfied, oh man, it was awesome. So anyway, I'm done, baby. Anyway, that was me. I loved it. Damn, it was good.
This is when you start really just coming down from it. So we'll go in there, we'll talk. I think they're going to wrap up the session another half hour or so. Just go in there and say thank you to everybody. I think it's impolite to just run after you do a presentation. So we'll go back in there and say hi to everybody. Thank everybody again for the 3rd year. And oh, it's over, man. We're done. We're done so much, man. Oh.
Este carajo, este chamo, Víctor, es lo mejor que yo he escuchado en mi vida. Mira, lo he escuchado ya 4 veces y las 4 veces me ha gustado. Impresionante, no es como no es nada algo diferente, siempre hace algo diferente, siempre hace que la persona se ría. Lo he escuchado 4 veces y las 4 veces me ha gustado. Excelente persona, contrátalo, de pan y todo, fino pues.
The event is now officially over. Guess what we're going to do right now?
tear the monkey suit off, relax, and I'm about to crash. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna crash hard after this deal. But man, look at this. Sweet. Hey man, wait a minute, I gotta say this. It felt good, man. It felt good.
It's like my wife says, you know, who is insane enough to get up in front of a crowd to speak and to do 2,600 people and just say, wow. You know, I joke around about, you know, some of the stuff I say, you know, as far as, you know, being a great speaker and all that stuff. No, you're always trying to improve the craft. But it's always nice when, like, that one kid comes up and says, hey, you know, I heard you 2 months later, I started my business, man. I mean, that to me is a big, that's hot. That was good. It was like, wow.
I just wanted to let you know, after I had your speech last year and opened my company, you're putting
Wait a minute, hear that?
Yeah.
You're opening a staffing agency. Tell me what you just said. We're doing a documentary.
Right after I had his speech, I mean, a month later, I went open my company, followed my dream, and I'm doing great. Great job. For real. No.
Once in a while, you go to VictorGonzalez.com. Once in a while, you send me an email how your business is
I will.
Okay, man.
No, gracias, man. No, gracias.
I didn't see their faces. I don't know if you looked at their faces, but some of their faces are just like, you know, thank you very much. And it's what we talked about today. You know, it's just you throw the pebble in the water, and if it creates a ripple, it creates a ripple. Of the speakers you're starting to see. It's all airport, you know, it's all traveling. You know, those nights where you don't stay at a beautiful hotel, where you stay at a Motel 8 or, you know, 6 or something like that. It's not all glamorous. The travel is hard, time away from the family is hard. Things you need to consider if you want to get into this business. Be self-reliant, do it yourself. There's a lot of expenses to deal with when you deal with this business. Is it worth it? Would I do it all over again? Absolutely. Could I ever go back to a 9-to-5 job? I don't think so. This is the kid from the hood. We're talking Cabrini Green in the housing projects, right? Food stamps, government cheese, and powdered milk. If this isn't the American dream, then I have no idea what it is. So God bless the United States. I love this country. Do I love this gig? I love this gig. Yeah, I love it, man.
be one of those cats who really only does it for fun. Yo, it's because of the dogs, I'd rather just freestyle instead of constructing the bars with a single up in the clubs. And how do I get these thoughts transition to paper? Likewise, only support my fans' missing behavior. My rap style is as sick as Eazy-E on his deathbed. Dope enough to feed CDs to meth heads. Bad entirely from passing out flyers, scattered irony and wildly. MySpace rappers and my
Yo, I move with my pack of wolves at the corner store, bringing ruckers, splitting Dutches. If the cops trying to cuff us, I'm my mental sick. Hell raised the spick in these ghetto slums where they sell them drugs or the better guns, the cheddar on society and everything in it. The money causing poverty and stress makes a menace. A bunch of outlaws in the hood moving mafia type. Live for the night and push the weight until the sun is bright. It's all about the hustle.